You'll have seen the protests outside Latuli House this week as ANC members have claimed that the candidate selection process by the party for the local elections is unfair. The ANC has denied that. Then over the weekend, 3 women were killed outside a meeting that was deciding on candidates for the ANC in Inanda. Gives rise to fears there might be more violence in Kwa-Zulu Natal ahead of the elections, and that it might in fact be linked to politics. Those killings are now being investigated by the police as a political killings unit. David Bruce is an independent policing expert. David, good afternoon to you, and thank you for your time. I mean, look, this shines a light on many issues, including our politics, particularly in Kwa-Zulu Natal. But what does it say about our police that this kind of particular killing keeps happening in one particular place in the country?
Right, Stephen. Well, the one thing is that I think there have been some incidents in the last week or two that have raised the issue of these killings once again. I think it would be premature for us to say that these killings are currently happening or are going to happen at the same level or on the same scale that they have taken place in previous years. So, for instance, particularly in the period around 2010, and a few years after that, there was quite a large number of these killings. And at this point, we don't have evidence that they are taking place at the same level. And we are still 6 weeks away from the elections, but these killings do not only, take place at election time. They're actually a type of ongoing phenomenon. And so, there is a task team that government has been appointed in 2018. There are a few trials underway, and I'd like to think that maybe, that task team has had some kind of impact on, discouraging this type of political practice.
I've heard some analysis suggesting that this is a bigger problem in Kwa-Zulu Natal than in other provinces, because the police there are politicized, that not so much senior police officers, but certain police officers play a political role. I mean, do you agree with that?
Well, you see, I think there's no doubt that this problem is, above all, a KwaZulu Natal problem. But there's a variety of factors in KwaZulu Natal that appear to play a contributing role, though it is evident that one of them appears, there is some evidence of police being linked to or implicated in these killings. And so, I think that's part of the story. Up to this point, that aspect of the problem hasn't been documented in much detail. But, for instance, there have been recent reports linking police to the killing of Sindiso Makaka in 2017.
I mean, yes, I think 2016 or so. I mean, what it really boils down to is you would think that if violence like this keeps going and it doesn't get resolved, that's because it's in someone's interests. In other words, there's never been a position in which there's been political will, and I mean it would require probably quite a lot of political will to resolve it. I mean, does that point to a political root to this in some way, that the police seem to never find out who did it? We all know about what are called inkabi or hitmen in KwaZulu Natal. We all have seen the books about it. I mean, does it just seem that there's a lack of political will, or is it actually much more complex than that?
Well, you see, I mean, I think there is a chronic problem in the political culture of the ANC in KwaZulu Natal. And so insofar as there's a type of kind of paralysis within the political culture of the ANC in that province that, that potentially neutralizes the ability of role players in politics in the province to try and address this kind of problem. But at least at the national level, I think the Minister of Police has, kept this task team in place. There are at least, as far as I understand, 3 trials underway. So, we're talking about this problem also in the context of a police system and a criminal justice system which faces multiple problems. But I think at least at the national level, my understanding is that it is recognized that this is undesirable. But, the problem is developing the political will within the province itself to confront this problem.
I mean, there's certain sort of technical fixes that sound easy but maybe aren't. You would rotate police officers into KZN from other provinces to carry out these investigations. You would also try and, I don't know how, but maybe, everyone will talk about the Cleveland's hostel, for example, which is a particular focus in a particular way. Maybe you shut that down. But that doesn't really resolve the root causes of this necessarily. If these are political problems, then they're just going to resurface in other ways.
Right, yes. Well, yeah, I would say that at the end of the day, there's there has to be a process within the ANC in KwaZulu Natal, which is about that would require that something quite profound would have to change within the political culture of the ANC in that province. So, right at this point, the evidence is that there's quite, the regressive elements in our political culture, which are in some ways strongest in that province. And so it's a bit of a difficult one as to how the country or the ANC for that matter can overcome that problem.
David Bruce, independent policing expert. I do appreciate the time. Thank you very much indeed on Newsfeed. Well, let's